Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So today I'm going to show you how to make a couple quick bending forks. Thanks for watching. Okay everyone, so what we're starting with is a 3/4 inch round bar. We're going to take and stick this down into the pritchel hole. Now this just happens to be about 3/4 of an inch or a 1 inch pritchel hole. So this will fit just about perfectly in here. Now all I need to do is trap the end in it because I'm going to heat up approximately about 8 inches of material. Okay, so we're going to heat up about 8 inches of material, and then we are going to give it a bend. We're going to just bend this right around in a U. Now I'm going to show you how quickly these bending forks are made, and I'm going to show you how we can get this done. So let me get this hot, I'll be right back, and let's make our first bend. Okay everyone, so now we've got our bar hot for about 8 inches. We're going to pull it out, and we are going to put it in through the pritchel hole. If you don't have a pritchel hole that is this size, for this large a bar stop, you can always use the hardy hole if you need to. So we're going to put this right down in there, and we're just going to give it a bend. We're just going to work on getting this a good bend. Go down as far as you can with it. Don't get it trapped in there, but we want to get that bend started. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and heat this back up. We're going to heat it up just a little further back here, and we're going to tap this around the horn of the anvil and just hammer it around the horn of the anvil a little bit to get it back into a U shape. And that's going to start our little bending fork there. So I'll be right back with you once we're at the horn. Okay, so now we're going to go to the horn of the anvil. We've got this good and hot. And the ideal here is we just want to take and give this a few whacks and get it to bend. Not to worry about the outside of this getting damaged on that. Now we're going to go to the flat of the anvil and go ahead and start hammering that on around. Tighten up that bend. Now you can make this fork as short or as long as you like. The ideal of it is to get this to where it just bends around on itself a little bit here. This is going to make a really stout bending fork, if you will. So as you might surmise, we're going to end up cutting this off at some point in time. But right now we've got this portion bent around, and now we need to take and square it up in this cross section. So right in here on the inside here, we need to make these parallel to each other. And so before we go around too far, we need to actually open this back up a little bit. So we'll take another heat on it and get this to open back up a little bit so we can insert a bar and then close it down on it. Okay, so what we've got here while we get this heated up, I've got some filler gauges here. This is just big blacksmith shop, rude and crude. I make a lot of gauges like this in my shop just to make things easy and as a reference. I did a whole video on how to make these here, so you know, make sure I'll leave the link to that in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. But basically what they are is if I need 1/4 inch, I've got 1/4 inch. If I need half, I've got half. If I need 3/8, I've got 3/8. If I need 5/8, I've got 5/8 square. If I need 1 inch, I've got 1 inch square type materials in order to set tong jaws, things like that on there. So I'm going to use that as my little filler gauge material. We are going to use this 1 inch spacer, 1 inch gauge, to take and set the spacing on the bending fork. Once again, get it good and hot. I might have to open this up real quick over on the horn. And again, I'm just using the horn. I'm hooking it on the horn like this and hammering back in this area. And now I'm going to try to find my gauge in here. It's still a little too short, so I'll go ahead and open this up just a bit more. There we go. Put this gauge in there. Good to go. So now we're going to use that gauge to take and set the spacing between the tines. Okay? Close it up ever so slightly, and there we have it. So now this thing is completely made into a U with a 1-inch spacing on the tines. Now the last thing I like to do, I don't like to leave them completely round. I find that if you square up the front and back or flatten the front and back, it makes them resist bending and torquing a lot easier. Just make sure it's the same amount. Make sure it's the same amount of flattening there. But there we have it. So there's essentially a bending fork. Now I'll go ahead and cut this material off after it has cooled down. You could do this hot on the Hardy tool if you wish. I'll just wait and use a cut-off wheel to cut it off, and then get it off there. And that shows you how easy it is to take and actually make a bending fork. And now this bending fork, some of the options that you can do with it, and I'll cut it off and I'll show it to you after it's cooled off and everything. Some of the options that you can do with it is you can actually, if you have a welder, you can weld it onto a Hardy shank, like so. So you can weld it onto just a square shank that fits in the Hardy hole. Or, if you don't like it on the anvil, you can use it as is. Just lock it in the vise, and there you go. You've got a bending fork. That easy. This is a fairly stout bending fork, which will make it great for a lot of things. And then the other thing that you can do with this, you can take the same thing, weld it onto a bar like so, and maybe a cheater pipe, and now you got yourself a top bending fork as well to take and work in conjunction with this. So this can be applied very quickly, cheap and easy to make yourself a bending fork. I'll be right back with you after we get this cut off. Okay, so I got that cut off, the ends all cleaned up, and now I'll just straighten out this big bar here, hopefully. I can fit it in there. This bar is actually 1 inch round itself, so it's quite hefty duty of a bar, and it doesn't quite want to fit down through those tines, but you can see how easily you can bend this now and how well those hold up in just a short amount of time. Again, these can be very handy in your work to straighten out things that otherwise you may not have been able to do. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and a like, and let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you have bending forks? Do you make them more in a traditional way? What's the way that you like to make bending forks? Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know. But anyways, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up. And last but not least, God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one.